Thank
Are you
you.
asked to join us here today?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Reeves, are you expecting anyone else to join us here today?
Wendy Winholtz, the owner, I'm expecting her to be involved, and I had not heard otherwise.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. Would you like to wait for her before we get started?
I don't think we need to. Of course, she's in support of the project.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get started. And if Wendy joins anytime, I'll just let her in.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to start a few things. We need to go through a few administrative things here first. We've already started our YouTube live stream. All of these are streamed live to the public, so anyone can observe if they would like. I'm also going to start our recording. All these are recorded and kept on file at the city. And then I also need to read through our hearing script, which basically just covers the procedure for the hearing, and then we'll jump right into the presentation. So this is the March 16th, 2022 session of the Zoning Hearing Examiner docket. My name is David Sturkey. I'm the Zoning Hearing Examiner for the City of Cincinnati, and I'll preside over this hearing. The case before us today is case number ZH20220014. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. The hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the Zoning Hearing Examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing, unless a party has submitted evidence or testimony in the form of writing prior to this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. If there were anyone here from the public, they would then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant had presented its case. In the event, I'll give also the zoning plans examiner, Wes Menzel, to provide any additional testimony on top of the staff report that he would like to present. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to the application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony and or argument offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. I may also refuse to consider hearsay testimony. That's generally evidence you want to introduce that consists of statements made by someone who's not present at this hearing. In the event of any technical difficulties or any other unforeseen circumstances with the video conferencing technology, I'll do my best to troubleshoot those on the fly, but to the extent there's some defect that prevents us from meaningfully going forward with the hearing, I may continue or postpone the hearing at my discretion. Okay. Last thing I need to do is just swear in all of our witnesses. If you intend on providing any testimony here today, you need to be sworn. And so if that is you, if you could make sure you're off mute, I need you to raise your right hand and answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Mr. Reeves, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Sure. So this project involves an addition to an existing single family home, and the addition itself is a single car garage with a bathroom / laundry room space. So that's the gist of the proposed addition. And with the nature of the hillside that it's being built on, it will have a unfinished storage space underneath the garage in the back, which will afford some basic storage space accessible only by the backyard. So those are the basic components of the addition. And what we found that we needed was first a side yard setback. Once we did averaging as required by the hillside, we needed several feet to come several feet closer on the left-hand side to make the single car project work, with the space we had. And, I've documented numerous just similar situations on the street, as right next door, the back of the neighbor's house is only a foot off of the property line. And there are a lot of instances where buildings are very close to each other.
Did you know what addresses have similar setbacks?
Let's see here, 3251. And if you look on the civil sheet C1, it shows the rear of his home is just over a foot off the property line. So that's just one example. And there are some photographs of the streetscape, A2 and A3, that also show kind of the nature of the neighborhood, that homes are built close together.
Okay.
The other variance is concerning the cut fill. Again, just by the nature of the topography on the site, the driveway at the front of the garage is about 12 feet higher than the backyard grade at the rear of the addition. And then also we have to dig several feet further for the footings. So that was the reason we needed a variance from the maximum of 8 foot. We needed a variance from that to simply install the foundation based on the grades that we have to deal with. And
Okay.
so those are the two variances we are requesting.
Okay. And let's see, Wes, did you want to add anything?
Sorry, just unmuting there. I would just maybe highlight a couple things. First of all, there's an existing door on the existing house that is going to be retained to allow access from, between the new addition and the existing house. So that's another reason why the house is shifted to the left a little bit to retain that access, to the front door, which is on the side. And then as far as the proposed design, he's putting the garage right exactly where the driveway is. So you're kind of just using the existing situation there. The foundation wall and such of the addition will serve as a retaining wall and basically replaces an existing retaining wall that supports the existing driveway. And then they're just going to backfill under that. So it's pretty minimal excavation and fill. And I think it's a reasonable request, and doesn't appear to negatively impact any property owners nearby. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Wes. Thanks for your report. So the total cut will be 15 feet, is that right?
That's correct.
And did you say that most of that is to put footers and the foundation down? Is that right?
Well, it's yeah, the bottom, the lowest spot would be the rear wall footing, which is about 15 feet lower than the front garage grade. And that's how Wes can confirm, but that's the difference, and that's how it's calculated, the total cumulative.
Yeah, it's a cumulative number from the beginning point to the end point on the topography, even though the actual direct cut is minimal and the direct fill is minimal. Like, it's just the way that the analysis starts at the top and goes to the bottom. That's the 15 foot. But when you look at the actual section drawing, you have, the fill is maybe 3 or 4 feet at the bottom, just to prevent the frost from getting down to the footer under the slab, and then filling back in where the under the slab that's there now, like replacing that basically. Is that
so? Yeah. So is it a series of 3 foot cuts then, or?
Well, the term cut and fill as used in the hillside is a little misleading, because when we say the 15 foot cut, it's really not an actual 15 foot cut. It's just going from the top topography number, whatever that is, 890, and then that the existing garage is at or existing slab is at 890, but then the footer at the bottom is at 875. So that's the difference, how we calculate that. But when you look in the specific design, the ground slopes a little bit as well. So he's not really, the direct cut in any one spot is, 3 or 4 feet or something like that due to the slope. And then the direct fill in any one spot is also, less than 5 feet.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's, I mean, that's sort of what I was getting at, sort of what the design of this cut was and how extensive any single cut was. You know, in that 15 feet total. So anything else on that, Jerry? I mean, it's I assume the cut is
Yeah,
stepped up there?
just what he said. Basically, it's much less actual cut, and of course, on a hillside, you're always trying to minimize any disturbance that you do. So all the proposed grades are pretty much the same as existing from before construction to final. With it, and I think the footing cut in the back is probably about 5 feet, and then the fill is really just replacing what's already there. We're tearing out the existing slab and retaining wall, which is in really poor shape right now. It's very old, and essentially replacing it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. If you wanted to see a visual, there is a section I could direct you to.
Where is that? I'm looking at.
It's almost, I think it's the second to last page.
Page 7 in my report.
Would be A5.0.
That page 7 shows the existing grade, and you have some numbers showing the vertical change. I probably cut and pasted that from your drawing.
Gotcha. Okay, I see it. Okay. Let's see. Any vertical slopes created as a result of the excavation or the project in general?
No, like the grade does slope down. It currently next to the driveway, and it will have the same slope when everything's said and done as it does right now.
Gotcha.
Same with the backyard. It keeps going down all the way to the back of the property, and like I said, there will be minimal or no regrading or changes to the existing grade.
Got it. And you said that the one of the current adjacent properties has a similar setback.
Yes.
And is that the same property that's going to be adjacent to this new addition?
Yes. And it's a little different situation. The homes aren't parallel with the property lines. If you wanted to look at the site plan, it would make sense. They're kind of cocked a few degrees, turned a few degrees, so that even though like our closest point is in the front, at the front of the garage, his closest point is at the rear of his house, and they're parallel. The homes are parallel. So you would look at it and say, oh, well, the buildings are going to be less than 3 feet apart, but they're actually farther than that because of the nature of them being, turned a few degrees from the property line.
Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. And the design of the actual addition, does it match the existing home in terms of?
Yes, it will have the same siding as the existing home, and we put a smaller gable on the roof slope, so the gable will face the street, and that kind of mirrors the existing home that has a long broad section of shingle roof showing, but there's a large gable dormer for the second floor.
Okay. Right. I think that's all the questions I have. Anything else, Mr. Reeves, in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here?
The only other thing I did also document plenty of instances along the street with garages facing the front. Of course, it's really, if nothing else, due to the nature of the hillside all along that side of the street, the grade drops from the street going back, so it'd be very difficult or impossible to construct a garage other than facing the street. So I also documented that in photographs and also a vicinity plan in the proposal. And I think that's about it.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I've had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report from our zoning department. I think based on that review and the testimony here today, I'm going to approve the project. I need to formalize that decision in a written decision. And so, like I said at the beginning, that generally takes about a couple weeks. I'll do everything I can to get that out as quickly as possible. As soon as I finish that decision, I put it into a PDF and I email it to everyone in the hearing here today. And so you'll have a copy of it really just moments after it's complete, and you'll see Wes on that email as well. So he'll know that it's been sent and that it's been finalized. As soon as that happens, you can work with Wes on the necessary permitting. If you have any questions in the meantime or would like an update on the status of that decision, feel free to email me directly and I'll be happy to let you know. And yeah, do you have any other questions right now?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks again, everyone, for the time and the testimony here today. I think we'll leave it at that. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We are adjourned.
Thank you very much.